Top 10 Facts about Singapore. The world's smallest continent, these facts about Singapore should help inspire your travels. So here, we have listed our top 10 interesting facts about the Singapore. Hi guys, how are you doing? I hope all are doing good. My name is John. Welcome back RS channel. Before begin to start to take a look at video request to subscribe our RS channel and don't forget to hit bell button get an immediate notification. Let's begin. 10. High economic growth and low corruption. Singapore has a highly developed market economy, based historically on extended entrepôt trade. Along with Hong Kong, South Korea, and Taiwan, Singapore is one of the four Asian tigers, and has surpassed its peers in terms of gross domestic product, GDP, per capita. Between 1965 and 1995, growth rates averaged around 6% per annum, transforming the living standards of the population. Singapore has the world's highest percentage of millionaires, with 1 out of every 6 households having at least $1 million in disposable wealth. This excludes property, businesses, and luxury goods, which if included would increase the number of millionaires, especially as property in Singapore is among the world's most expensive. In 2016, Singapore was rated the world's most expensive city for the third consecutive year by the Economist Intelligence Unit. It is the world's most competitive economy, according to the World Economic Forum's ranking of 141 countries, with the second highest GDP per capita. There are more than 7,000 multinational corporations from the United States, Japan, and Europe in Singapore. 9. Cars are considered a luxury. Cars in Singapore are not cheap. This is attributed to available space in the country. With little space for the population that continues to grow, the country has taken measure to control the numbers of cars on their roads. This has made car ownership become a luxury affair left for the very rich in the country. This group can afford the high taxes on excise duty and the permits needed to drive the car. Public transport is quite convenient, cheap, clean and comfortable. They always run on schedule. 8. No more skyscrapers in Singapore. An interesting fact about Singapore as a country is that the real estate industry is not permitted to construct buildings higher than 280 meters. The reason behind this policy is the Paya Lebar military airbase located close to the CBD. Tall buildings are obstructions to air traffic above the city. There are exemptions in some districts like the Marina Bay area. The other reason for the height restriction is stopping new buildings from blocking views of older work that is considered to be an important government landmark. 7. One of the countries with low unemployment. Singapore has a low unemployment rate for a developed country, with the rate not exceeding 4% from 2005 to 2014, and reaching highs of 3.1% in 2005 and 3% during the 2009 global financial crisis. It fell to 1.8% in the first quarter of 2015. Singapore does not have a minimum wage, believing that it would lower its competitiveness. It also has one of the highest income inequalities among developed countries. Although recognizing that foreign workers are crucial to the country's economy, the government has considered placing limits on inflows of these workers, as foreign workers make up 80% of the construction industry and up to 50% of the service industry. The COVID-19 pandemic, however, shook up most industries in the world and Singapore was not spared. This made the Singaporean government give a grant of Singaporean $800 a month to workers that suffered job losses from the pandemic in 2020. 6. No chewing gum in Singapore. The Singapore chewing gum law is among the most well-known laws in the world and has attracted a lot of international media attention. It first came to light in the 1990s and is prominent in the present times as well. Thanks to the Singapore-US Free Trade Agreement 2004, the rule is now a bit more lenient than before. Due to some of its health benefits, now you can purchase chewing gum in Singapore with a prescription from drug stores and even fly it abroad. A city obsessed with cleanliness, the sole reason for introducing the Singapore chewing gum ban was to keep the city clean. Reports suggest that the Housing Development Board spends over $125,000 annually just to scrape off gum from sidewalks, train doors, bus seats, and more public spaces. According to Singapore's first Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, the Ministers of National Development approached him with the idea in 1980. Lee Kuan Yew believed that enforcing a ban on chewing gum in Singapore altogether would be an extreme step. So initially, the government started with banning chewing gum advertisements that promoted its consumption and sales. Even the opposition government deduced that the problem can be solved by levying fines on offenders and educating people in general. People still managed to get their hands on chewing gum in Singapore anyway, maybe from a chewing gum black market. The Singaporean government didn't stop them from doing so but also levied heavy fines, $100,000 or a prison sentence of up to 2 years, against those who were found selling it. The Singapore chewing gum penalty is very similar to the littering fines, where you get fined $500 to $1,000 on the first offense, and $2,000 for the repeat offenders. After the US-Singapore Free Trade Agreement was signed in 2004, chewing gum with health benefits such as nicotine gum and dental gum can be bought from pharmacies. 5. Human rights in Singapore. In 2020, Singapore was ranked 158th out of 180 nations by Reporters Without Borders in the Worldwide Press Freedom Index. Historically, the government has restricted freedom of speech and freedom of the press and has limited some civil and political rights. The right to freedom of speech and association guaranteed by Article 14 of the Constitution of Singapore is restricted by the subsequent subsection 2 of the same article. Freedom House ranks Singapore as partly free in its Freedom in the World report, and the Economist Intelligence Unit ranks Singapore as a flawed democracy, the second best rank of 4, in its Democracy Index. In the 2015 Singaporean general election, the People's Action Party, PAP, won 83 of 89 seats contested with 70% of the popular vote. The latest elections were in July 2020, with the People's Action Party, PAP, winning 83 of 93 seats contested with 61% of the popular vote. Sex trafficking in Singapore is a significant problem. Singaporean and foreign women and girls have been forced into prostitution in brothels and been physically and psychologically abused. A law dating from 1938 bans sexual relations between men, however the law is rarely enforced. Sexual relations between women are legal. In 2019, the World Justice Project's Rule of Law Index ranked Singapore as 13th overall among the world's 126 countries for adherence to the rule of law. Singapore ranked high on the factors of order and security: number 1, absence of corruption; number 3, regulatory enforcement; number 3, civil justice; number 5, and criminal justice; number 6, and ranked significantly lower on factors of open government; number 25, constraints on government powers; number 27, and fundamental rights; number 30. All public gatherings of 5 or more people require police permits, and protests may legally be held only at the speaker's corner. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, LGBT, people in Singapore face a number of challenges. Same-sex marriage is not recognized and sexual relations between men are illegal, though the latter is rarely enforced. Singaporean society is generally regarded as conservative. Despite this, LGBT acceptance is growing in the country. Pink.sg, an event held in support of the community, has drawn thousands of people annually since 2009 with increasing attendance. 4. UNESCO Heritage in the city. The Singapore Botanic Gardens was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2015. This garden has been in existence for more than 150 years since it was founded in 1859. It is older than the country. Its main attraction is the National Orchid Garden that has thousands of orchid species referred to as very important plants. The over 200 hybrid orchids have been named after famous personalities like Nelson Mandela. 3. It's a city has a man-made waterfall. The first man-made waterfall was built in 1971 at the Jurong Bird Park. It drops from a height of 30 meters and is considered to be one of the tallest indoor waterfalls. At the Cloud, Forest, and Bay Gardens have huge 35 meters long waterfalls as the centerpiece of the Misty Conservatory designed for house plants from tropical highlands. The HSBC Rain Vortex waterfall in Jewel Changi Airport is 40 meters long, surrounded by a lush indoor garden. 2. It's home to the world's first night zoo. The night safari is the world's first nocturnal zoo and is one of the most popular tourist attractions in Singapore. Constructed at a cost of $63 million, the night safari currently houses over 900 animals representing over 100 species, of which 41% are threatened species. The night safari is managed by Mandai Wildlife Reserve, and about 1.3 million visitors visit the safari per year. The night safari received its 11 millionth visitor on May 29, 2007. The animals of the night safari, ranging from cheetal deer and gaur to Indian rhinoceros and pangolins to lions and Asian elephants, are made visible by lighting that resembles moonlight. Similar to the Singapore Zoo's open concept. Instead of vertical prison-like cages, cattle grids were laid all over the park to prevent hoofed animals from moving one habitat to another. Cultural performances are a regular feature at the safari, and include tribal dances, blowpipe demonstrations, and fire-eating displays. Creatures of the Night Show. This show is a performance presented by the animals in the night safari. Civets show of their excellent sense of smell, a spotted hyena displays its powerful jaws, otters spread awareness to recycle reusable items, and many more animals. Food and beverage outlets in the night safari include Ulu Safari Restaurant, Bongo Burgers, and Casa Italia. Visitors can dine in the evening in the wild, at night safari's only teepee tent. Also experience dining on the move with the Cocktail Safari Express and Gourmet Safari Express. 1. It's a country of not just one island, but 64. Singapore archipelago consists of both habitable and uninhabitable islands. The city, Singapore, is located on the mainland with 63 other islands surrounding it. The Sentosa Island is the largest one offshore, followed by Pulau Ubin, St. John's Island and Sisters Islands. This gives tourists lots of options and fun when visiting the country. Alright guys, I hope you guys are enjoy this video. Like this more interesting video, request to like this video and make sure don't forget to subscribe our RS channel and hit a bell button to get an immediate notification guys. Thanks for watching, see you.